probably just doodle a little bit until...
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like I have no friend. Sometimes I feel like I have no friend. Sometimes I feel like I have no friend, a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone, a long way from home.
Good morning to those of you here in the sanctuary with us and those of you joining us virtually. My name is Ruth Stanton, and I'm very happy to be here this Sunday morning after Thanksgiving, serving as your worship associate. Our minister, Scott Neely, is out of the pulpit one Sunday a month to recharge. We think that's important for keeping him happy and with us forever. He'll be back in the pulpit again next week. And Sydney, I want to thank you for starting us out with your really beautiful version of that song. I think it reflects some of what our immigrant children today might experience, and it goes well with our topic as well, unaccompanied minors in Spartanburg County. And today's meditation is going to fit right in between radically inclusive love, of what we believe in as UUs, and our considerations in December about family. Our speaker today is Dr. Laura Barbas-Rodin, and Gia Kianelis is ill today with a respiratory illness and isn't up to being here, but I feel like she's here anyway, and I'm going to talk about her a little bit in a minute. Dr. Laura Barbas-Rodin is a professor of modern languages, literatures, and cultures at Wofford College and a founder of Alianza Spartanburg. She serves as a board member of the United Way of Piedmont and Emerge Family Therapy and Teaching Clinic, as a trustee of the Mary Black Foundation, and as an Alianza Spartanburg steering team member. She's also a participant on the Live Healthy Spartanburg Policy Committee. Laura is a Cypriot American, daughter of a Cypriot father and a U.S.-born mother. She is a Phi Beta Kappa graduate at the University of Georgia and holds an MA and a PhD from Tulane University. She and her husband are parents of 2 sons and have called Spartanburg, South Carolina home for many years. And just to let you know about Gia, Gianella Quinones is originally from Peru, and her family migrated to the United States 23 years ago. In the summer of 2019, Gia moved to Spartanburg and found it to be a very lovable city. She's grateful to have found a vibrant community here and to call Spartanburg home. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist, currently working for the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. Both of these 2 women are deeply involved in the Spartanburg Latinx community and our immigrant community as well, serving these folks in many, many ways. And I just wanted to tell a story on Gia, even though she's not here. I first met her when we opened our church doors for a health department COVID vaccine clinic. And we were hoping to make it feel like a safe place for folks from the Latinx community. And Gia was here in our foyer blogging away about the vaccine clinic, encouraging folks to get their vaccines. But we are very glad to have you, Dr. Barbas Rodan, and I know your message is going to be timely and eye-opening. And now we have our announcements.
Good morning. My name is Virginia McLean, and I serve on the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spartanburg. I am delighted to welcome you this morning, whether you are joining us in person or virtually. This is a welcoming congregation where everyone is welcome, just as we each are. If you are visiting with us in person this morning, we would love to meet you and share more about the life of this congregation. Visitor cards may be found in the pocket of the back of the chair in front of you. Please feel welcome to fill one out and place it in the offering plate during the service so that we can connect with you. There are many, many important announcements on the sheets titled Connect at the back of your bulletin this morning. Please open your bulletin and see that all you can be a part of, and I'd like to highlight a few of them. Teddy Bear Sunday will be next Sunday, December 3rd, during our morning service at 11 a.m. Bring a new or clean, gently used teddy bear or other stuffed animal for our annual Intergenerational Teddy Bear Sunday. Our holiday menagerie will be given to the Children's Advocacy Center, Project Rest, and the City of Spartanburg. Bears brought before December 3rd can be left in room 7 of the RE wing. And you'll impress Scott if you bring an octopus like I did one year. He still reminds me of the holiday octopus I brought. Then in the afternoon on Sunday, December 3rd, from 12:30 to 2, Peggy Hamrick will lead a workshop on making a meaningful relationship with the holidays, entitled Dealing with the Holidays, a psycho-spiritual guide for not only surviving, but thriving. The holidays can be a difficult time for some of us, especially those who are grieving, who have difficult family situations, or who are alone. This workshop will be an opportunity to develop strategies for honoring the reality of the difficulties we face while planning for self-care, fun, and community as we move through the season. Please sign up to spend this time together so Peggy can plan for seating and an adequate number of handouts. And also, don't forget that you can still sign up for meals and events, walks with Scott, and drinks with Anne after this service. They were the events that were announced at our annual auction, and you can still sign up for those in the fellowship hall after today's service. Thank you all for making this a place of care and kindness for every one of us. Thank you for making this a place of joy.
Thanks, Virginia. Now, to light our chalice, we have a reading by Amy Bowden Friedman. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Here, may you find a warm greeting, a kind word, a gentle touch. Sometimes I feel like I have no friend. Here, may you find a community of support, a pulse of liberation, a vision of hope. Sometimes I feel I am almost gone. Here you may find a song to sing, a moment of silence, a hand to hold. Even when you are a long way from home, may these walls give you shelter, may this community break through your loneliness, and may you feel the embrace of a larger spirit of life and love. Come, let us worship together. Now, please turn to hymn 34 in our gray hymn book, A Little You See Us Speak. If you see something in the bulletin that says SLT, it means Singing the Living Tradition, and that's just the fancy name for the gray hymn book. So please turn to hymn number 34 and join me in singing, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Thank you. As part of our Rippling Bowl, I just have to share some joys from Thursday. We had 54 people at our Thanksgiving dinner in our lower level in Wild Hall, with wonderful people helping us set up. Yay, wonderful people helping us take it down. Wonderful food and wonderful fellowship. So that's one of my ripples of joy going out in just a minute. So here we do have a tradition of sharing our joys and sorrows through our metaphor of the Rippling Bowl. And right now the water in that bowl is still and flat. And in a minute, as we add our stones and shells, we'll be adding energy to the bowl that we can see as ripples. The stones and shells we drop in represent sorrows, concerns, life passages, joys, celebrations that when we share them with each other, they create the energy of our life and our community together. And I invite you to come forward and place a stone or a shell in our bowl for the joys and sorrows on your hearts. And I'll put in a stone and a shell for those of you that are joining us virtually.
Oh, why you look so sad? Tears are in your eyes. Come on and come to me now. And don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through. 'Cause I've seen the dark side too. When the night falls on you, you don't know what to do. Nothing you confess could make me love you less. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. So if you're mad, get mad. Don't hold it all inside. Come on and come to me now. And hey, what you got to hide? I get angry too. Well, I'm a lot like you. When you're standing at the crossroads, don't know what path to choose, let me come along. 'Cause even if you're wrong, I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Maybe even to your darkest hour. And I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. Falls on you, babe, feeling all alone. You won't be on your own. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you.
Our denomination doesn't have a particular creed we need to believe in, or greed, in order to be members. But we're still deeply thoughtful and committed. In fact, our congregation created a covenant to express just how we want to be in relationship with each other and our surrounding world. Please join me in saying our covenant together. We are a people of faith and hope. Together we covenant to strive to become our better selves, to honor both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to respond to systems of violence and oppression with the power of a love beyond belief. We are glad to be here together and to have an opportunity to greet one another. And as very diverse people, some of us love to greet and are exuberant, and some of us are quiet greeters. Please check in with those you are greeting for clues on how they would like to be greeted, because we want to respect each other's personal space. It is also fine to remain seated if you wish. And one more thing, once we get started, we could easily continue all morning because we're great at this, but we've got our important message still ahead. So when you hear Sydney play, that's a reminder to return to our seats and let the greeting begin.
So we're just over here in the corner. Yeah. You can. I'm gonna do stuck in a moment.
Did pretty good getting seated. Our church and its work are supported through the generous donations of our members and friends. I know many of you are giving electronically or at other times. So as the plate goes by, please add your blessings even if this isn't the time for you to contribute financially. And please know that if circumstances preclude your financial support, your presence with us is gift enough. As part of our work, we share the plate with a different social justice organization every month. Half of the offering cash and any designated gifts will go to that special organization. This month, we are sharing the plate with the Israel-Palestine Crisis Relief Fund. As I'm sure you're aware, conflict is tearing apart Israel and Palestine, and thousands of innocent civilians have been killed, injured, or taken hostage. Millions are facing a devastating humanitarian crisis in Gaza with a dire need for aid. Your donation to the Israel-Palestine Crisis Relief Fund will provide emergency relief and long-term support to people in need, including food and clean water and medicine, shelter and temporary housing, psychosocial and mental health support to survivors, support for urgent humanitarian relief efforts, and long-term recovery efforts. Thank you for your generosity.
I am not afraid of anything in this world. There's nothing you can throw at me that I haven't already heard. I'm just trying to find a decent melody and a song that I can sing in my own company. I never thought you were a fool, but darling, look at you. You gotta stand up straight, carry your own weight. These tears are going nowhere, baby. You've got to get yourself together. You got stuck in a moment, now you can't get out of it. Don't say that later will be better, 'cause now you're stuck in a moment and you can't get out of it. And I will not forsake the colors that you bring, but the night you filled with fireworks, it left you with nothing. I'm still enchanted by the light you brought to me. I still listen through your ears, and through your eyes I can see. You are such a fool to worry like you do. I know it's tough, 'cause you can never get enough of what you don't really need now. My, oh my, you've got to get yourself together. You got stuck in a moment, now you can't get out of it. Oh love, look at you now. You got yourself stuck in a moment and you can't get out of it. I was unconscious, half asleep. The water was warm till you discover how deep. I wasn't jumping, for me it was a fall. It's a long way down to nothing at all. You've got to get yourself together. You got stuck in a moment, now you can't get out of it. Oh love, look at you now. You have yourself stuck in a moment and you can't get out of it. And if the night runs over, and if the day won't last, and if our way should falter along the stony pass, and if the night runs over, and if the day won't last, and if our way should falter along the stony pass, it's just a moment, this time will pass.
A reading from Maya Angelou, amazing piece, a Christmas poem. So that'll bring us into December also. But it's about hope. Hope is born again in the faces of children. It rides on the shoulders of our aged as they walk into their sunset. Hope spreads around the world, brightening all things, even hate which crouches breeding in dark corridors. And if you'll join me in a moment of silence. Maybe so. And now we are welcoming Dr. Barbara Sroden to our pulpit.
Thank you all for welcoming me here and for making me feel welcome. Gia and I were excited to join you to speak about unaccompanied children and youth and to think further with you about what it means to imagine and to create a place where unaccompanied children and youth have a chance to be and to heal and to flourish. And I feel the energy of healing and welcome here among you. And as a person who became much more introverted during the closures of the pandemic, I'm really thrilled to feel that myself. I'm sad that Gia was not able to join us, and I hope you'll have a chance to hear from her in the future because her voice is a remarkable one, and the stories and joy that she brings to Spartanburg is really something that I admire and cherish. So I want to mark my time with you with 3 gratitudes. And the first is a gratitude for what has been co-created in this place and in my life. And I have a slide that'll give a little bit of a glimpse of that. We make our lives here amid hickory oak forests stewarded for generations by indigenous inhabitants of the Americas. Many have observed a day of mourning this week, and I am grateful for the place they cared for the stories their lives tell, and for the discomfort and injustice of being here in a place from which they have been displaced. My own being here is a complex story with twists and turns, many moments of laughter, and many moments of mourning. As Ruth shared, I am the daughter of a first-generation immigrant father from the island of Cyprus in the eastern Mediterranean. There's a humanitarian sea corridor running from 2 ports in Cyprus now. It's the areas impacted by the conflict in Israel and Palestine. I'm the daughter of a mom from a blue-collar family in the American Midwest, and I am here because of the labors of love and solidarity of people of faith. People of faith made it possible for my father to receive a high-quality education in a British colony where he had almost no political rights and where there was no comprehensive university. They made it possible for him to compete for a Rockefeller scholarship to study at the American University of Beirut. And Ruth, if I could have you, thank you, that slide is perfect. That's my father as a youth in the left, and then again back in Cyprus with my mom on a more recent trip. People of faith and communities of faith made it possible for my father to find his way to higher education in the United States, to earn a doctorate, and to become a scientist. My mom's story was a similar one, but in U.S. contexts. She dreamed of a college education in a family where that was not a likelihood, and it was people of faith who directed her to scholarships and work-study opportunities to be able to earn a college degree. My parents, in turn, have helped countless others, including my brother and me, and I am here today with gratitude to them and to everyone who made what we have lived possible. So when I speak of the topic of displacement and migration, I speak from those experiences of my family, as well as from the education they made possible. So that's the first gratitude I mark, a gratitude for what has been co-created. And because the topic of children and youth who are unaccompanied is often only a vaguely familiar one for many, and because news stories blaze past it as if we all understand the facts, I want to start with a definition, a legal definition of unaccompanied children and youth. And it's on the next slide. By definition under U.S. law, a child who is unaccompanied has no lawful immigration status in the United States, is under 18 years of age, and has no parent or legal guardian in the United States, or no parent or legal guardian in the United States is available to provide care and physical custody. In fiscal year 2022, on the next slide, there's a little more detail. In fiscal year 2022, immigration authorities encountered over 150,000 unaccompanied children and youth at or near the U.S.-Mexican border. 75% of those unaccompanied children come from Central America, which happens to be the region that I studied as a doctoral student. Particularly, they come from the countries of Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. Some of you may know those countries well, others less so. Guatemala, for example, is a majority indigenous nation. 80% of those of indigenous identity live under the poverty line in Guatemala. The numbers represent a small portion of the people exploited, marginalized, and displaced by actions, policies, and technologies that has made the world the way it is today. Historical disparities persist in their countries of origin, just like they do in the US, and people of indigenous identities, people with rural livelihoods, Afro-descendant communities, and others suffer violence and exclusion, as did their forebears. The numbers also reflect the reality of global inequality, where some people and places have very few opportunities, and others have many, many more. So why are children and youth leaving Central America? There are many reasons, and each story is unique. But as we entered the 21st century, more people worldwide were lifted out of extreme poverty. And still, poverty persisted. The wake of trauma is a long one. Violence, the fast kind or the slow kind, pushes many people out of their livelihoods, out of their communities, and out of their homes. So too does climate change. It might be in the form of the 2 devastating hurricanes that battered the same section of coast and wreaked havoc on the lives of 3.5 million children. Or it might be in the form of changing rainfall patterns that push people who grow and sell and eat food crops into destitution and hunger. Many people cannot support one season of crop loss, 1 or 2 weeks of the closure of a workplace. They are driven by need or by hope or by both to seek alternatives. So you may be asking, how does this relate to Spartanburg? Spartanburg has a large immigrant population, and our diverse immigrant population here includes people with legal status, people who are out of status or undocumented, people in mixed status households, where different people may have a different immigration status, a parent who's a permanent resident, or a parent who's undocumented, a child who's undocumented, 2 children born here who are U.S. citizens by virtue of birth. That would be in a mixed status household, and we have many of those here. It also includes unaccompanied children and youth. Those unaccompanied children and youth may fall into 3 categories, and that's the big block of text at the bottom. They may be asylum seekers who have had contact with the immigration system at the border. They may have come into contact with the system after arrival, for example, coming to the attention often of law enforcement or school officials because of concerns about potential trafficking. Or they may simply be here, unaccounted for at all by any system we have, because they slipped into the country and have had no contact with either immigration services or state services since they've arrived. We have people in all 3 categories in Spartanburg County and throughout South Carolina. They may be sitting next to nieces and nephews or children or grandchildren that you know in schools. Their stories may be stories they hold close, and their stories may be stories they only know partially because they didn't understand the system that they were working through and that was moving them from place to place and location to location. Gia and I hold many, many stories in our hearts, and because of the barriers of confidentiality and privacy, we're really limited in what we can share. But we want you to know that people are here. They have walked many, many grueling days to cross the border, only to be separated there from their families. They have waited in detention centers without knowing what was happening because immigration services failed to provide interpreters of the languages they speak. They have made it across the border, undetected, trafficked, and first became perceptible to our institutions when a tip or a raid led to the involvement of law enforcement or schools and social services. So we ask today, in a system not designed for them, where they may be alone, where they may be exploited, as the New York Times proclaimed in a headline last winter, or where a shortage of interpreters may delay hearings in courts. What does it mean to make a place for them? What does it mean to make a place for them in our imagination, in our hearts, and in our strategic work in Spartanburg? There are two big areas of work in which Gia and I have been involved and that we think are really important. The first is supporting social emotional needs, and the second is advocating for language justice. So supporting social emotional needs matters a lot for everyone here, and it matters a lot, especially that it be available in the languages that people speak, first in Spanish, but also with interpretation in languages other than Spanish that are spoken by children and youth who are here. Schools and faith communities are often a first place that people encounter the presence or the absence of social emotional services. And I appreciate that your readings and songs today have highlighted how important nonverbal communication is, because smiles and nods and affirming touches when those are welcome are all ways of signaling when language is not a possibility for signaling. Professionals can provide the services in schools, and people like Gia bring much needed attention to the issue of language justice and language access. And that's the next. The next challenge is advocating for language justice wherever it could be of benefit. Consider that the Border Patrol, immigration courts, and detention centers don't have nearly enough Indigenous language interpreters to communicate with migrants. When officials can't communicate with someone, especially during the time of family separation, they were unable to provide appropriate medical care, explain legal procedures, or understand why the person was seeking protection in the U.S. And when the family separation policy was in place, it also meant that parents couldn't make the case for the children that were with them being their own children. In fiscal year 2019, ICE reported that it met fewer than half of the hundreds of requests it received for Indigenous language assistance. It met 0 requests for assistance in Garifuna, the language spoken on the coast of many Central American countries that's important to Afro-Indigenous descendant communities. And so amid all of these really tough facts and challenges, I want to mark a second gratitude for what is being co-created. And on the next slide, you'll see an image of a co-creation of which your community has been a part. Gia and I want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for generously supporting the work of Alianza and for your solidarity with immigrant children, families, and individuals in South Carolina. That's taken many forms, and this box of dictionaries is one really concrete form. Children in South Carolina have to take many, many standardized tests in public schools. When they're multilingual learners, they have access to devices like tablets in class that can provide help with words, but they're not allowed to use those on the tests that they're required to take. So we were approached by a school and asked if we might be able to provide print dictionaries so that the youth could take the standardized test and use dictionaries that were approved for use on the test. And that became one very small, tangible way of just saying, you're part of the community, you can have something that you need. There's way more to do, way, way more to do. And yet, this is also a step. This is also an act. Thank you for being part of that. Thank you for being part of so much more that Alianza has been able to do to uplift language justice, particularly with Spanish, and also anytime anyone will listen, all the other languages that are out there for which people need assistance and want to hold on to because they're their history and their lives. So thank you for what is being co-created. Thank you for co-creating it out of love and solidarity. And we also wanted to encourage you to be in continued solidarity. We invite you to keep affirming, celebrating, exclaiming over, applauding multilingual learners and educators, multilingual providers of care, and the funding that supports them. Our friend Jose organizes many Spanish language events at the public library. In fact, he's taking requests for holiday songs right now for a bilingual singing hour in December. Let him know you're excited about those kinds of events, that you're excited that our public library is accessible to people who are speakers of other languages. In our community, not just Spanish, but also Russian and Ukrainian are languages that they celebrate on a regular basis in programming for adults and for children. Some of our educators sponsor special nights with multilingual learners. The image there is from an event at Cleveland Elementary. Give them a friendly comment in person or on social media. In Pasos, the organization that your church has also supported, Nora Curiel Munoz, provides healthcare navigation and a truly intersectional approach to the well-being of the people they serve. Elevating and sustaining and celebrating their efforts means so much to so many. And because in addition to stories of trauma and resilience, we hold the memories of angry, ugly comments in our own personal memories and in the stories that we've received from students and community members, we encourage you to consider ways to speak truths with love and compassion in the face of dehumanizing comments. Just a little bit more when you're ready. We invite you to support foster families, including those that provide transitional foster care when an unaccompanied child or youth is waiting for more long-term placement. Lutheran Services Carolinas provides much of this support, and they frequently ask for help for items like backpacks and soccer balls. Support free access to culturally responsive social-emotional supports and mental health care in schools and in other places in the community. And learn all you can about organizations that provide services, so if someone asks, you can connect them. And so finally, I come to wrap up with a third gratitude for the good that will be co-created through what we do next. The last image that I have is of a monarch butterfly, both an amazing creature and a symbol of migration. What I invite you also to perceive in this image is what let this butterfly be perched on that flower taking in life-sustaining nectar. Those who stewarded the forest, preserved the milkweed, fought to ban chemicals, and imagined and cultivated pollinator gardens, including my mother, who took this photo. Alexis Pauline Gums asks, what could it mean to be present with each other across time and space and difference? And I add to her thought, what will we do by being present and acting from love across time and space and difference? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barbas Rodin, for sharing that with us. A lot to think about. Please turn to hymn number 121 in our gray hymnal. It's We'll Build a Land, and join me in singing. We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Thanks, y'all. So it's time for us to extinguish our chalice and have some closing words. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in mindless oblivion. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go without challenging yourself or others. When I say don't go in peace, I don't mean go in utter ease and comfort. But when I say go in peace, I mean go in peace, seeking justice. I mean go in peace, committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. When I say go in peace, I mean go in the peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace.